Chinese watchmaker Ciga Design has sent us another thing for us to review. This one is still strappable on your wrist and it actually has a cool gimmick on the side. However, I'm struggling to find a reason to call this a watch. There are countless stories of watch enthusiasts pulling a magical device from the comforts of their pants when someone asks them that all too magical question, what time is it? If you've been around long enough in this hobby, it may have happened to you as well. Pulling up your phone to tell the time rather than looking at that nifty, shiny, and economically unjustifiable accessory called a watch on your wrist. Sorry, correction, timepiece. Actually, believe it or not, some will not believe that you're an enthusiast if this embarrassing thing hasn't happened to you before. Regardless, that is no excuse for a watch to not tell you the one thing that it's designed for: tell the time. Is that what's happening here? Well, you have eyes, and I think we can all agree that this watch from Ciga certainly resembles a watch. At least that's how it looks like. The only problem is that the question of what time is it is now being asked by you yourself and not by someone else. But let me try and assure you though that it is a timepiece and it's actually pretty cool in ways that you didn't think to imagine. Overall, I admire what they're trying to do here and I would have loved it even more if it was actually legible and a little bit smaller. As I throw this on my wrist, you'll immediately see what I meant when it comes to that sizing. This square is just laughably oversized on my small wrist, and this case is not doing it any more favors because it's further projecting the impression outward. If you look closer at the dial, you'll notice why. The movement is a time-only movement that is heavily skeletonized. As you adjust the time, you'll realize how hard it was to tell the time, as the hands are also skeletonized on top of being nearly the same length. Add the X-shaped bridges, and it makes for one really hard to read watch, as these bridges can easily be mistaken as the hands of the dial. From the back, you can see a glimpse of the quick-release spring bars that adds to the customizability of the piece. This, of course, is one of its main selling points. From the back, you can likely make out the locking mechanism for the case. Here, it is hidden away by the straps so you won't accidentally press these buttons. With that in mind, you will need to remove the straps first to access the mechanism. Changing the straps can really alter the impression of the watch. From rugged to a little more eccentric, this watch can easily become a talking point with a band such as this straight-cut ostrich strap. I think this watch really comes alive with more organic materials such as stingray, alligator, or lizard. These have a really good contrast against that industrial feel of the case and dial. Measuring in at 22 millimeters, the strap options are not as diverse as that of the standard 20 millimeters. I found only a few of my straps to fit this titanium beast, and one of them is this aviator strap from Amazon. Now it looks like more steampunkish than artisanal, and not really suited for my puny arms. If you have even more beastly wrists, you can actually swap out this square case for a more barrel-shaped version. This watch actually comes with 3 different case styles to suit your taste and attire. This case is more sportier and a lot more angular. It also looks a lot heftier than it's supposed to be, considering that this is titanium. This being titanium though is actually pretty light on the wrist and a lot more durable than steel. For me, the best version is this rounded case. This makes it look a lot more compact and is the more traditional style of the 3. It still has that impressive imprint on my wrist, but it feels a little more like my rounded G-Shocks. I like the effort that's put on the design. There's a lot of potential for this kind of customization, and we've seen it pulled off differently by other companies already. Arguably, Ciga Design manages to pull off the biggest visual changes with the least components necessary with these detachable cases. This mechanism opens up the watch to more case styles, or go the other route of having different tiles. Size is still a big factor in consideration, especially when compared to other watches. Against this legendary titanium diver from Citizen, the proportions are still very similar even though we're using the round case. So let's take a moment to demonstrate how to switch cases and use the square version. First, you have to remove the straps and then you can access the inner case buttons. Once you've lifted off the case, now you can align the other case opening to the crown and secure it by pressing and depressing the buttons again. Now you can see how the two watches square up. Both are titanium watches, but one clearly looks like it's ready to go on a suicide mission to save mankind from invading aliens, while the other seems like it was created by the same aliens 50,000 years ago. While it takes a different kind of man to wear this watch, Ciga is clearly appealing to him for a long time now by offering the Hunter Z. This M series magician is actually the predecessor of the Hunter Z, and you could clearly see the evolution of the design. It has that same elongated design and same X bridge skeletonization from the magician. There is a lot more design subtlety on this Black Hunter, and Ciga made the hands a lot more bigger and visible. There is also a lot more usage of space on the Hunter, as it is not limited anymore with the circular inner case structure of the Magician. Many of you had a few things to say about this watch during the unboxing video. Andra Jeftovic said it's an ugly, funny watch. Joker applauds the creativity and originality, but he'll pass from this gimmick, quote unquote. He is more interested on the prototype that I was wearing though. Yoda Jenkins said that this would make Invicta blush. And finally, Chaos 2 Ladies said that he kinda likes it. Pretty cool vibe and design. There are more reasons to switch between the cases aside from the shape of the case itself. Each case has a different lug configuration, making each case wear differently from the other. Here you could see that the angular case from the left has the lugs flowing from the case side, while the rounded version has a sort of welded lug design that really stoops downward. The square model, on the other hand, has its lugs shoot straight out of the case horizontally. This creates an overhanging effect for the straps. For what it's worth, the lugs and side structures of these titanium cases really delivers a different experience against each other, with the dial being the only constant factor. With that said, listen to this. That is the sound of the movement being wound. It's strangely louder than most watches that I've handled. I prefer my movements to wind smoothly and as silent as the devaluation of my portfolio with all of these watch purchases. Up close, there's a lot of dynamism on the dial with the running seconds at the center and that balance wheel at the 12 o'clock position. The hands does have a distinct shape that separates it from all of the gears and struts of the dial, but then again, that is not enough with them not having a solid center. It easily gets lost among the visual noise. The X bridge, though, is amazing looking with all of the light play that it generates. Ciga was able to generate this kind of effect using some kind of serrated texturing. Really cool from under the loop. From the back, you can see the remnants of what seems to be an ETA-based movement. The architecture is very similar, but the bridges, even from here, were customized heavily. From under the lug area, there's these large buttons that secures the whole movement housing to the case. This is held together by a tab, so you'll need to push both buttons to lock the case in place. But I think for convenience sake, this may have been better if it was a push wedge design. But this tab structure certainly helps with the stability of the mechanism. The overall look of the dial resonates as sort of an old Incan art style with prominent lines and geometry. It really looks more like an art sculpture until the hands have the chance to light up. The seconds wheel is but a mere indicator here, so forget about telling the actual seconds of the time. It's lovely to see all of the light reflecting back to the movements though. If there was an award for the best looking wrist accessory that incorporates your forearm hair, this would probably be nominated in a heartbeat. On top of all the open spaces, there is also a lot of inlays and carvings that also take advantage of all of the light play. Engineering wise, this M series uses a very clear movement mount that further enhances the levitating effect. So it's got you covered on the engineering side. It's creative on the wearability and function, and it didn't break the $1,000 plateau. And lastly, the effort used to create this watch is undeniable, whether it's on the dial and especially on that case. It's a wonderful watch by its own merits. It's got all that it needs to be called a really good watch. If people saw you from a couple of steps away wearing this watch, well, they would have no clue that you can't even tell the time from it. So, can you even call this a watch? Well, of course you can. It's just hard to call it that because it's that hard to tell the time. Doug Henning once said that the art of a magician is to create wonder. If we live with a sense of wonder, our lives become filled with joy. Perhaps this quote unquote watch simply needs to create that sense of amazement. We're not completely sure. But then again, we're not even sure if Mr. Henning mentioned that quote either way. Well, perhaps we'll never know. Perhaps the sense of wonder is more than enough. And that is the M Series Magician from Ciga Design. Again, this very cool gimmick of changing your cases is the real selling point of this watch. It's also titanium. This version that I got is titanium, so it's very lightweight. And of course, it has all of that real estate and that skeletonization on the dial. Unfortunately, the hands are so hard to read on this watch. It's hard for me to call it a watch at all because I know there are certain things on the dials of certain watches that makes it hard for you to read or make it legible in that and in any sense. However, this one really pushes the boundary because you could barely even see where the hands are. Maybe they could have used a different kind of finishing on that to counterbalance that, and that I think shies away many people in buying this watch. However, there's a certain niche that has this kind of appeal, and I just don't know where they are. And it's a cool concept. Hopefully, they could execute this a little better in the future. And who knows? Maybe this concept will be, and also at a much smaller footprint because right now it's really big on my wrist. And the best one I think is this round one. This one contours to my wrist better, especially for smaller wrists. And I don't know. That's it. I think it's a hard sell, to be honest. But what do you think? Comment down below in this video. Many of you have already commented in the unboxing alone, and I featured that also in this video. So comment and see if we can discuss this further.